Because they even though you're over by your law, you want to rise it's more. So if you have the rise, here you have a clear. I need more.
Today we'd like to welcome you on to today's Hamoed. Today we have the cover here, Rabbi Chaim Meir, Roth. Everybody knows that sometimes people used to ask me, what topic is he giving? So when I just say it's a Chaim Meir Roth, you know it's going to be good. Every topic is going to be Moedik. The covered God.
Guten Morgen. Chaim for Egen Shiri Torah for giving me the opportunity to say a shir. I'm not a Maggid Shir over here, so I don't get so much schussen to be. I'm a Lamed Torah, Lamed Yisrael, so I have opportunity. Some of the oil wants to thank Yisrael for giving the opportunity to hear shiurim. Shkoye for Nachamol for giving me the schus. I have to learn something. First, he says what I speak about. I usually speak about different shaylas that come up when I get to the Yom Tov from a Choshen Mishpat standpoint. So the first shayla I want to discuss today, again, this is a matzah shahoya, just last week. There was a lady who had an interest in selling a piece of jewelry that she no longer was wearing. A shod sitting in the drawer. Some people feel good that the jewelry is sitting in the drawer. But she said, I might as well sell it, cash in. I want to sell this piece of jewelry. There's a lady that's a broker. She does brokering of second-hand jewelry. Okay? And she's looks for coin. So this person who wanted to sell this piece of jewelry reached out to this lady. She came, she brought her the piece of jewelry. She looked at it and she said she thinks she could sell it for this certain price. The lady said she's not sure that that's the price she was looking for. Maybe that may be more. She should first find out how much it weighs in gold. Because part of the figuring out the price is push it b'metzias. Today, with gold being so expensive, maybe she could get a little more. How much is it worth in gold? So she said, okay, she'll look into it. She looked into it, she got the price of the piece of jewelry in gold, she texted to this lady what the price is in gold, and it was it stemmed with the price that she gave her originally for what she could sell it for. It was the right price. And good, she got no response. She understood from her that she's good to go because she left a piece of jewelry with her. She didn't respond. And she thought, okay. And she went and she has, I guess, some kind of way to be mafasim what she has. Somebody from a different state, from a different place, was interested in this piece of second-hand jewelry. The person looked at it, paid the price, gave it to the broker, and the broker turned back around to the seller and said, here, I sold it for you, and here, you sold it? What? I decided not to sell it. I decided, no, I want to keep it. She said, Masha hoye, kwa hoye. It's already sold to somebody else. So she said, no, you sold it to Shaloi B'Shus. You had no right to sell it. And I want it back. So the broker called me, and she wants to know, do I have to get it back from the buyer? Now I said, it's very not good for my business to go back to the buyer and say, you know, I sold it to you without permission, please give it back. It's not going to be so geschmack, it's not going to be so. So if I'm a mechuyev, okay, I'm a mechuyev, but I'm not looking to be nice. I want to know, what's the halacha? Am I mechuyev? And I want to add, let's assume for a second that it's true that the shliach, maybe this lady has a right, or has a right to get it back, and this shliach, but does the buyer have to accept and say he wants to give it back? The buyer says, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't know who you are, I had the piece of jewelry, I wouldn't put him, get out of my life, I own it, and get out of here. So we're going to begin with, obviously this lady who's the broker is not a buyer and a seller. She doesn't buy it from the one who owns the jewelry and sell it. She's a broker. She gets a fee for brokering it. So therefore, it's a sugya of shlichus. That means the koyach of the broker to sell this piece of jewelry to a buyer is as a shliach of the moiche, an agent of the moiche. It falls into the sugya of shlichus. The halacha is that shlichus doesn't need a kinyan. But dibur ba'alma, one can make someone a shliach to sell something for him, even though there's no kinyan made. Furish halacha in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Kuf Pei Beis Sif Aleph, it says in Shulchan Aruch, "Ha'omer l'shluchai, tzei u'machor li karka u'metaltelin u'knei arei ze moiche v'lekeach v'oise l'shlichusai v'chol meisav kayomen ve'ein ha'oise shliach tzar kinyan v'loi edem ele ba'mire ba'alma beino le'mechaveroi ve'ein tzarch edem ele legalas adovim kofa echel mehem." So we don't need shlichus, we don't need kinyan, we don't need edem. You said he's a shlich. I'm assuming the Olam is familiar with Hilchos Shlichus because you all sold your chametz. And many people think that the Rav buys their chametz. They say, I want to sell my chametz to the Rav. The Rav says, do me a toiva, I'm not buying your chametz. I have enough problems of my own. I'm just being your shliach to sell your chametz to somebody else. And there, everyone picks up very heilig about the God. If it's a chassidish Rav, it's with a gartel, it's a litvish Rav, it's with a penny, or it's a couple. Why make a kinyan? You don't need a kinyan. He's a shlichus. A shlichus needs a kinyan. And the answer is you don't really need a shlichus. And if you forget to do it, it's good. It's just, like the Rambam says many times, we do things to show that you mean it serious, we do it with a kinyan. So the kinyan here is to show that you mean it serious. Because, you know, the guy's about to do a transaction, sell all your heavy chametz with your shnapps. You want to make sure, at least when it comes to Pesach, that you showed you meant it serious. It's not ma'akiv, because shlichus works without a kinyan. So this lady we're handling here is a shlich. Okay. Now, a shlich, in order for them to sell it, they need the haskama of the moiche, otherwise you're not a shlich. Now, was the moiche here maskim that she should be the shlich? So clearly from the beginning, the moiche said, I want you to sell it, but I want a certain price. The broker said, the price that I'm going to sell it, the moiche wasn't so happy. So at that point, she wasn't a shlich. If let's say before she texted this text, she would sell it, it would be klar. She's not a shlich. So what happened? She sent her a text, and she thought by the fact that she doesn't respond to the text, and she has the jewelry by her, and the price works, that okay, we have an haskama, and Meir, I'm your shliach.
A text is kedibur?
A text is, why not? The text is a chikadibur.
How
But
do
the
you
shaila
know-
is,
how
there's
do you
only
know-
a text that went one way.
How do you know
The
who's
text,
telling you? How do you know who's telling you?
right, there's only a text from this,
I'm saying even if it was the other way, how do you know that?
or maybe it wasn't the person's
Yeah.
phone. Yeah, so if the person's going to be makrish and say that somebody else's phone, and Chanami will have a question whether it's a good enough proof. I hold that for Choshen Mishpat it's not enough. A raya is that kids text on their parents' phones like that. So how could you say? So if that's true, so if you sell your chametz on the internet, you give the Roth. There's a lot of you could go throughout the world. There's a lot of places they through the internet you could sign up and sell your chametz. So I timed it. What happens if later the moich will say, it wasn't me, my son went onto the computer and sold it. So what will happen? It will be bottled the mechira. So if yes, and maybe the mechira doesn't work. Okay, I'm not bringing the fact that there's a lot of Yidden that do it. But that's what push it, because what's the raya? Bishlam, if you're am the Rav and you came to me and you signed the star by me, so I said, so you want to say Mezuyah? Say Mezuyah.
By chametz is own dinner. By jewelry is not.
I understand. I'm just bringing out the misk. So I agree with you. But here, that's not the nidin. The nidin is, I sent you a text. She's not makrish that she saw the text. She didn't respond to the text. Is that not response mean that I'm maskim or not? So, melumed, it's murgele befi of Bnei Adam as a mishpat that's called shtike koido. A concept brought in Shas, many places. Shtika is kohidah. We often use it to chat with somebody. Shtika kohidah, you kept quiet, you were moide, you make an allegation against somebody, he keeps quiet, it must be, it's kohidah. So the sugi of shtika kohidah in Choshen Mishpat is from the hard ones. It's not easy. So I want to a little bit address the shtika kohidah in this question. Here's a loch in Shulchan Aruch. In Siman Pei Aleph, Siv Zayin, says in Shulchan Aruch, a Yid said like this, Omalai Mone li biyodcha. You owe me $100. Zog the Shulchan Aruch, va'alo shoysik. The other guy keeps quiet. Okay, what would you say? He's chayav or he's potter? Okay, didn't stop yet. Oh, but comes the other yid. What about the veil edim? At the meidai. The guy owes me $100. Shosak, quiet. So now this yid, he first was the veil, he was quiet. Then he brought to him and said, at the meidai, that the guy owes me $100. Quiet. Says the Shulchan Aruch. Ein zeh klum, she'eina mochoyev lines. Can you believe it? Such a thing still. There's people that can keep quiet. Doesn't respond. He's not mochoyev to answer. And I might say, you decided, you made up some. You fell on your head. You decided today that I owe you money. I ignore you. I'm sugar there. I don't have to respond. Go on. You bring Eidim. I'm not going to see. I don't owe you a penny. No problem. Says over the Shulchan Aruch, says Enkum the Haver Shtika Koido Elo Kishahoide Lo Tchile V'Amalei Hein. Originally, when he was Tovei, he told him yes. It's not enough. You say yes. A person chutz in the Besden, the guy says Yemoide, he says yes. You could say Meshata Yisibor. I was joking with you. Till you bring Eidim. He said, out the Meidai, and now he's Shoisik. So now this shtika is a continuation from his Moide before, and here you say shtika koidu. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. So it's pretty clear that you don't just say shtika koidu, because I kept quiet means I agree. So maybe this lady who gets up and says, the price is azoy and azoy, it doesn't mean that because of that I said, oh yeah, I agree, sell it. There's no such, there's no such. Now, the Ramah over there, and that's see, the Ramah says, listen to this story. There was a bocher who needed some extra help. He needed a Rabbi to teach him, and to give him tutoring. So the yeshiva called down the parents, and they said that the boy needs. So the parents said, well, yeah, how much does it cost? Cost ganz a lot, I don't know. They call in a tutor into the room. They say, we want you to start learning with this boy every week. And the father's quiet. And the tutor starts, he goes to work. After a month, he sends a bill to the father. The father said, you know, I never agreed. What do you want from me? Well, I never agreed. Says the Rama, the father's Chaim. Also steht in der Rama. Mich ist den Boch, mit dem Ben Chavere, befnei Abi Aben. Abi Aben Shosak, shtike koidoi damje. Va'af o pish lo ydi ba'af klum, dav le'av la'asuke adaito v'limchos. Should have said, no, I'm moiche, I'm not masking. Frag the tumim. What just happened over here? He just finished telling me that there's no shtike koidoi if you keep quiet. If you say, Monali b'yod, I keep quiet, I'm potter. Here, mit Hamoed, the Melamed, they tell him to come and I'm quiet. Why? I never said yes. I never once said yes, and now you brought Adam. I never opened my mouth. So why Shtike Koido? Azoi fragt the Tumim. Kommt in the Sivas, and he says, Pshat Azoi. If somebody takes money out of your pocket, and you keep quiet, he says Shtike Koido. That means, he says the case is a guy. The guy tells the guy, you know, I'm gonna buy your chayfetz for $100. It's the case of the Nesiris. I'm gonna buy your chayfetz for $100. The guy keeps quiet. The guy then goes, he says, I'm gonna buy it with Kinyan Mashiach. You know, he tells him which Kinyan he's gonna do. Fine, he's quiet. The guy then goes and he does Mashiach b'fanav. Says the Nesiris, Shtike is Koido. Because if you take money out of my pocket, you gotta be moicha. If Yana makes allegations, you can keep quiet. But if he takes money out of your pocket, then you gotta speak up. Meir zog the Nesiris, if I told this Rabbi that he's gonna get money from you, and the fact that he's teaching your son is mechayiv you money, so that's called like I took money out of your pocket. And in such a case, you have a chiv to be moich, and if you're not moich, it's Shtike Koido. So let's come back to our story. The Yid says, I have a piece of jewelry, I want you to sell it. The person says that the jewelry, sends a text that the jewelry is worth kav v'kav. So it's pashut that there's no Shtike Koido. What happened? I didn't. If I would tell you I'm selling your jewelry, I would text you, okay, I'm going ahead and I'm selling it. You would be able to be clear if it would be Shtike Koido. Because the Nesiris' case was when he did the Mashiach b'fanav. Here, I don't know if he sold it. You're thinking of, you're contemplating selling it. You don't know yet that the guy's selling it. He's threatening to sell it. Okay, maybe you don't say the Shtike Koido. But here, the person didn't say Bechlau that they're going to sell it. They just told me what it's worth. There's no Shtike Koido. And therefore, La'anias Daiti, this Shliach, had no permission to sell that. And the Shliach, unfortunately, unknowingly, was a Gazlan. They sold somebody else's chayfetz. They didn't mean bad. And Chaz v'Sholem, they were shoygig, but Lamaisa, they stole someone else's chayfetz and they sold it. What? She gave it to her to contemplate. No, not to sell because she didn't make up a price. Can't be yet to sell it. I'm leaving it by you because I'm contemplating selling it. But she didn't tell her to sell it because she still said, no, I want to get the price. So Mamela, there was never a tzivui to sell it. If there would be a tzivui to sell it, and be a shaila, maybe you could say to go back to Shtike Koido. But here, there was never a beferish sell thing to go sell.
Giving over the jewelry is not a kinyan? The giving over.
It was never intended to be a kinyan because the broker doesn't buy it. The broker is only a shliach. That's what we said. So Meir, it's not a shiloh. Kinyan's only shiloh shlichus, and there was never a shlichus here because the shlichus never ended up being finalized, and there was no shtika koido.
He just gave it the price. He gave it so she could price it.
No,
Right.
but let's say she said, I wanted the higher price.
She said beferish that I'm not making you shech until I have clarity on the price. You spoke up saying I'm not
Right.
making you shech until.
She didn't say it like that, but yeah, I agree.
Let's say she would have said, she said $1,000, and I said, I was thinking $1,400. Let's say she actually sold it for $1,400, and we still say the same lumdis?
And
Then the
again,
person says-
so long as there was no agreement to sell it, there's no agreement to sell it. There's the fact that we're talking about pricing, unless there's an agreement to sell it, and we don't see here that this lady ever beferish. You may have reason to think that the person maybe wants to sell it. Maybe. But the shlichus needs, you were given the authority to sell it. I don't think that ever ended happening. So I think that Shitaka sold it, good. Now what happens? The buyer says, listen here, I don't believe you, I don't believe the Mashalech, I don't believe anyone. You guys are a bunch of conspirators, you decided to change your mind, I bought it, jump in the lake. I know you will. I have it. You changed the story. You told me before, you're a broker to sell it, you're telling me you sold it. Gewaldig, it's sold. Comes now, imagine every time I'm shliach, come, I sell you the thing, then I come back a week later and I say, I want to tell you, there was new terms in the sale. The sale was only if you make 4 hula hoops. I forgot to tell you. She says, Shulix, I know who you are. I already have it. What do you mean? She says, no. What do you mean? I'm a shliach. And Mishalech said, it has to be like this. So here the Mishalech never made me a shliach. I just stole it. Does the koine have to accept that? No. So we have to look back into Shulchan Aruch. So the Shulchan Aruch in Simen Kuf Pei Beis, Siv Beis, says in Shulchan Aruch that let's say somebody sells something, and when he's finished selling it, he turns around to the guy who bought it, he says, you should know, I was a shliach. But there's no difference in buying or selling. I was a shliach and there was different terms and I made a mistake. The guy tells him, I know who you are. Demish can cope. You were never a shliach. It was yours. You never said you were a shliach. I know what you're talking about. He's not mechuyev. It's not enough to believe in Bechlal. It will bring Aiden that it was made a shliach. It'll also be very complicated. If no one wants to learn Hilchos Shlichus, it's one of those halachas that you have to sit and work hard. It's not. But let's take that out for a moment. We're not going to get too confused. What happens though if the guy told him l'chatchila, I'm a shliach? So here you have to reckon sich. He's only a shliach. So what happens? So the halach, it says in Shulchan Aruch over there in Simen Kuf Pei Beis Siv Daled, it says like this: the shliach was a shliach to buy. He was buying something, and he finished. He bought it, and then he says, I made a mistake. The one who sent me wanted certain terms, and these were not the terms. And shudliks, we gotta be mevatel this mechira. So it says in Shulchan Aruch that the one who sold it, the moiche, could tell him, listen here. For all I know, he made you a shliach ben letikum ben leivus. He made you a shliach no matter what. You messed up, you don't mess up. You're a shliach, and Hamoed available. You want back your money? I wouldn't do it. So the beferish halacha that if I'm a shliach for a coin, then I tell him I'm a shliach, and I even tell him from who I'm a shliach. The halacha is that he could tell him, I don't know, maybe you made your shliach ben letikum ben leivus. If you make a mess up, you're a shliach. L'moshel, I'm going to give the oilam a very, listen to this, Moshe, the oilam may laugh, but every time I go into a store and I buy something, I bought the clothing, the $100, I go to the cash register, how much it cost? $100. Fine. A day later, he calls me up, the store, says on Shuldiks, they sold the item for $100, it's really a $150 item. No mistake. No, could they be mevatel the mekach? The cash register lady is only a shliach. She's not the boss. So could you be mevatel the mekach? So if you say that every cash register lady is ben letikum ben leibus, because otherwise you cannot do business if they're not ben letikum ben leibus. So it's very talking that the shlichus is chal makes no difference. It's ben letikum ben leibus. So this person is now to say ben letikum ben leibus. Okay, so if that's true, so l'chayr in our story should be the same thing. The person says later, "Oh, I didn't have permission. I don't know. I know you told me a shlich. You had authority. It's sold in Gaman."
Mishalech could have charata. Let's say he goes to Bezno for an Avedim. Mishalech could have charata. Say, I don't want the shlichus.
Doesn't help, but not after it's sold.
No, before it's sold.
Yeah, good.
So,
But after
and
it's
then
sold.
let's say the person sold it. Then he could say, I wasn't a shliach.
You can't say that.
Sure, you bring
Yeah,
Eidim
yeah.
that charata. Mishalech had charata.
You have to bring Aiden. You
Yeah,
bring Aiden that he was there and he made and he was mevatel his
Before,
shlichus.
before.
Yeah, fine, but that's not the case.
Here's better. He never was a shliach.
You don't know. For all we know, there was a conversation on the phone, and he said, "You're my shliach to sell the piece of jewelry." I know everything came through text. Yeah, you were never by the toilet. I can tell you. He said text. Oh, there was whenever he wanted time to say check. He said, "No, this was the conversation we had on the telephone afterwards." Well, not everything is in writing. So there was a conversation. The person saying, "I don't know. I know you were a shliach. I don't have to believe you in shalom." Now I don't want to. We're going to get there for hak. We'll be here all day. Let me finish up and we'll talk. If whoever wants to hak on me later, we'll but this is the problem is that there seems to be a halacha shavanorach someplace else that sounds the other way. In Simon Kuf Pei Hey in Hilchos Shlichus, there's a shaila in Shulchan Aruch over there that a shliach sold something. Here's a shliach to sell an item, and he sold it for $50, and the Mishalech says that I told you to sell it for $100, not for $50. So there, the Mechaber says he gets it back. And the Ramah says, no. The Kohen could say, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you're talking about. Who said it? Maybe it was sold for 100. Maybe you will mask himself for 50. I don't have to believe you, and I'm going to Rebel. So the Mechaber seems to say that no, he's believed. The Mishalech says, I told, what do you mean? He was only my shliach, and I say, I only sold it for $100, so you have to give it back. So there, Nishpach Dioy from Kol the Achroinim to verämpfen the Stieren Shulchan Aruch. In the Shach, in one of his Tirutzim says that a chilik, if it's a shlich to sell or to buy. If it's a shlich to sell, it's only money, then a moitzim v'el. But if it's a shlich to sell, then you go with the Marakama, and you have to give back the item. And my boys say, I could be here all day to try to explain the sheet of the Shach. But there's one Shach in the Mechaber that would hold that in our case you could undo it because here it's a shliach to sell and she's the Marakama on the jewelry. But Lamaisa, all the other Achroinim, everyone else is teretz of Mavua that Lamaisa, even the Mechaber will agree in our case. Either way, the one who has the jewelry is the Muzik, she could say I hold like the Ramah, and Meir, you will not be able to get back the jewelry. If this lady will say, I don't believe you, more than that, let's say I'll believe, if I would know who the Mishalech is, I don't even know who the Mishalech is. How do I know this piece of jewelry came from this lady? You have a psarias? Maybe it's a different Mishalech. And she didn't make you a shlich. Maybe there's so many, you're never going to be able to get back this piece of jewelry. So if they for actions that they don't want to give back the jewelry, it will stay by the one who bought it. Now, usually most people are not, but here, it could be a from cheshbon. She needs some chesyontef, Pashit. Took away from her the jewelry. Pashit. It's a shayla from the reis, some chesyontef, tachshiten, from Doshem. So a shayla from the vatal, with the sess of the reis. Shoin. Agaponim, if the lady won't give it back, it's done. You won't be able to get it back. Now, I want to ask like this. What happens to this? With this, I'm going to end for this shayla, but I want to see, it'll be even more. So now what happens? The lady refused to give it back. Okay, so she refused to give it back, so the moich has no bread, they have to take back the money. So she says, okay, so I'm giving you back, and my brokerage fee is, ich weiß, $100. She says, oh, no, I pay brokerage for Ganoven. I mean, you were not my shlich. You were my broker. You were a gamif. You sold my item. So I wouldn't put him, I know you are, no brokerage. Just hand me all the money, and the brokerage is done. Finished. You're not getting brokerage. I don't pay brokerage to guys on them. I pay them to someone who works for me. You're not my broker, you're a gazlan.
How are you figuring out how much money it is?
What does that mean?
How much is she paying her? She wasn't asking for
How much she owed?
No, what do you mean? The price was, we know what the price was. I forget about the price. She sold it for the price that she thought she gave originally. That's what she sold it for. The Metzia says Yenna's not giving it back. So here's the money to be given back. Now it says, good, but I take 10%. Yeah, for workers, you get 10%. For Gazlon, we don't get anything. So give it back. So she says, okay, no problem. I'm okay, but you should know that really in the market, it's really worth $200 less. Kol Gazlonin, Mishalman Kishas Hagzelin. So I'm a Gazlin. I own it. I guzzled it. I have to pay the chassis and the other $200. So even though you're supposed to pay me brokerage only $100, now I'm getting $200 because now I get to keep the rest. The other lies is that all the Gemaras are going to come alive. Zog the Nesivis Simen Shin Vav. If a Gazlin sells an item and he makes more money than it is, and he says Kol HaGadol Misham Jazzel Zog the Nesivis, nothing doing. And the voice is called the Brosh Chaveru. If it was Yevis and he brought money, it belongs all to him. As I halt euch sma someplace in Shemeresh Lamedalid, and as I halt Chuvas of Kivege, I saw a long Chuva from Sariel Rosenberg. He brings a ganze Pakel Rishonim Achronim that dings on this Nesivis and on this Sma and the this and they say paket. It belongs to the Gazlan. Anything above belongs to the Gazlan. It's Altis. So we're going to say a Kibli. This guy, the broker will say, Kibli, I'm the Bochzik, you're the Choizik, I'm the Gazlan, I get to keep everything that's above Kishas HaGzelin. I have a svara to say that in this case it Zicha belongs back to the Bible. Because Bishlam, if you're a Gazlan, you want to be a Gazlan, so you marviach for yourself. But if you wanted to be sell it for Yana, so you had in mind to be coin all the money for Yana, so Yana gets them. So it wasn't a mechira, but whatever money I was zoiche, and I was zoiche for that person.
Not the brokerage, not
Stealing from the other person.
No, it's not stealing. The lekeach is not stealing from because the lekeach is getting the jewelry and has to pay the price. They can't say in order for them to get it. What? It's not the gay of what goes on a Shemayim. It's the gay what goes on an Orit. Al Orit, it's a sale. Klap with the Lekeach, it's a sale. I understand. Klap with the Lekeach, yeah. And the Zoich and all the boys, so it goes to Yanim. We could go on and on if you want. I can keep you until tomorrow. But the point is, you're going to have a mavucha about what happens to the extra monies, exactly who it goes to. I want to move on to another question. I don't want to spend the whole shir on one shaila. This shaila also happened this year. Unfortunately, this is the type of shaila that happened in this matzah. The Oivim Talmud knows there's other Yidden that like to spend Yom Tovim in different countries. They have a problem with staying at home, or different states, or different countries. They need chavayot, they need experiences. Sean, I always say that we should be mekayim the experience with B'chol Dor, Chayv, Liz, Satzmo, every Yid goes out of Mitzrayim, some Chayv, the ganze experience, he traveled from Mitzrayim. Most in the light and Bochum, most Bochum and Yeshivas, and so experienced in Tziyas Mitzrayim. There's Chavayot, but this Yid wants to go to Eretz Yisrael with his whole mishpoche. He already was worried in January about it. And he wanted to rent a dire for no less than $27,000. It was a psadire, adire, mufu'ore, yofe, Miyuchid b'minoi v'taimoi, and he went into a haskim to rent this dira, and for that he had to put down a deposit of $15,000 and sign the contract. In this contract it says that this haskim is built di choizer. There's only one way to be choizer. If the airport in Eretz Yisrael is closed, you can be choizer. Ad kan. Lo yaleinu v'lo yaleichem. It came now before Pesach, and the maske, the Soicha says to the maske and Shildix with missiles flying on Eretz Yisrael, I'm not going to spend over there in Yisrael. That's a schwache vacation. He's staying home. And besides, the airport's open when they open, when they close, when they open, when there is 50 people further on, off. You are going, even if, I don't know what's going to be tomorrow. It's not shot, can't go. And this masker says, I feel very bad for you, I understand you wholeheartedly, but the bottom line is, you will mask him, and the star says it's closed. I mean, it's open. The airport is open. You can fly in. He brings in all kinds of rides. A person who flew yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and he went into the country. He went in. He went out. And I don't know. It's possible to fly. It's not closed. And Asher Alkein and Shulvik's Rabbi, your money's staying on me. But like I said, you lose nothing. Nobody would have rented. It's not the case. Okay, it's a verweitigte Scheile. It's but this is the Metzias. Now the question is, what do you do with this? Everyone's ready? For to answer this question, you have to learn a lot. Now, Hamazel, 5 years ago, there was Corona. Corona was mechayev all the Choshen Mishpat needed to learn as all of his things that they never learned till then. Why? Because he opened Shulchan Aruch, he saw a ganze simon about Makis Medina, about a dever, like you looked at it like something from the archaic ages, from the Facebook. And maybe you didn't relate to the Shulchan Aruch. I learned it. I remember them learning it at least 2 times and not understanding what it says. Like it didn't relate. It was hard and so it's a schwer simon. But when it became Corona, it became Lebedik, then everyone had to learn it and know it. No choice. But let's break it. And it became real. Like every nuance started playing a different nalov. Hey, this is real. So the mazel is that we had as our Corona. There was no people, we shouldn't have it again. But this is the question over here. We have a situation. So I want to know what would be if he didn't write a shtar. 0 shtar. No shtar. That's it. There's no shtar. What would happen? He would give it a deposit, would he get it back or would he not get it back? Okay, let's take a trip in Shulchan Aruch. Simen Shin Lamed Dalet. It says in Shulchan Aruch. It says in Shulchan Aruch in Simen Shin Lamed Dalet that if a person rented a dira for a year, and the tenant, lo yaleinu v'lo yaleichem, in the middle of the year, passed away. The question is, do the Yoshim have to pay for the rest of the year? Says in Shulchan Aruch 2 days. One day it says, it's the oivis. Yeah, but the oivis is the soiche, the tenant nebuch. So in Meir, he still has to pay. One day it says no. Since the mask is the one who has to be able to rent it out, and he doesn't have who to rent it to because the guy is not here. He disappeared. He went to the oil mamas. The Meir, the masker can't collect the money. Machloikis and Shulchan Aruch, Lamaisa, the Poskim say, you can't take from the ocean. But if the masker got the money up front, he doesn't have to give it back. Kup Shad why? Like I said, I'm just going to touch lightly a bunch of things because I don't want to knock everybody out. One more halacha. What happens if nofal habayis? The guy has a house, and the bias fell down. There was a sreifa. A missile hit the bias that's being masked to another yid. And that's his role. A missile hit the bias not here anymore. Baruch Hashem, the people are alive. Does the soich have to pay rent? Ferish Allah and Shulchan Aruch that the soich doesn't have to pay rent. If there was an oinus, the mask lost the bias, the soich doesn't have to pay rent. Now what happens if Chaz v'Sholem there was a dever in the city and everybody evacuated the city. They all moved out. The masker tells the Soich and Shuldiks, you got to pay rent. The Soich says, well, what are we supposed to do? Everybody had to leave. Everyone's out. Well, we all had to leave. Shach Simon Shilam Medalad brings Amaram Titkin. And Amaram Titkin said that the Soichim have to pay. Why? He said, what do you mean? The house is here. It's ready for you to live in. You want to run away because of a devil? It's your problem. Why is it different than Meis HaSoichim? Okay, we have to talk about it a different time. Why is Meis HaSoichim potter? We're not going to talk about it right now. But Meis HaSoich is different than if he ran away. And if he ran away, you still have to pay. Azoi bring the shach b'shem aram titken. If that's true, you could declare that if you have missiles and all the soichim run away, the masker says, Anshildiks, there's a house there. You want? Go in. The soich says, yeah, there's a house. The missiles are coming down. I can't go there. Okay. But Am Titkin says, Anshildiks, soich has got to pay. Not so posh. Because by the Dever, there's only a problem on the soichim. Missiles are a problem for the maskirim too. You know, if the missile comes, the problem is not the fact only that the soich is out of the house, if it's in the house, and the missile comes in the house is also the second of missiles. So it could be that that's also considered a oinus on the mask. One could clear, not so posh. Then there's a whole bunch of cholkim on this Maram Titkin. Shach and Taz and Machnafraim, and they all say, no, nothing doing. The son mask has to take the loss. The soich had a oinus, the mask has to take a loss.
It's not livable. The devil here is not livable. Here it's livable. Everybody lives next to school.
Everyone who has no choice stays there. So now he's saying, okay, but the mice are there. Good point. So let's talk. I'm going to move a little quick because again, I really want to get. I want to touch a little bit, but I don't want to get be around because I said we talk on every. But it's true. It's livable for the people local, but these diras are made only for people that can't live there. That means nobody is being masked the diras of these stature of diras, only guests. And for them, it's all unlivable. So one can make a starke claim that this is called al kaponim, la'amias daiti. If there will be no star, Allah will be born. Then he would have to return to the house. Pshat is here, we have a matzah that's a sakona on the people that are thinking no vacationer is going. It's considered that the masker himself is also found in a matzah because missiles are falling down. Ashakei Alken, I would think that the Allah will be, if there will be no asking, he would have to return to the past. But he does have an ask. Is the ask. The asking says clearly that the only way he could get back your money is if there's a oinus that they close down the airport.
Even if the house fell down?
No, the house fell down, it's not the game.
Statement in the contract.
It doesn't say in the contract, but then he doesn't have what to be masked. That he's not saying. But somebody, if he has what to be masked and you're not willing to come here, then he's making you pay. A boy side, there's a starke tzad that this star is bottle and mavutul v'lahavika afrodar. Why? There's a concept in Shulchan Aruch called an asmachta. And that is, if I am agreeing to cancel myself for something. Take a knas, the marshal. The truth is, every time I tell you like this, we're going to go and ask him, I'm going to do kach v'kach. And if I don't, then I'm giving you $100, $10,000, $10 million. So, again, it's a very big simon, as machte, simon reizheim. I think from ganz Choshen Mishpat has the most Beis Yosef. So if the other wants to learn it, you're going to have to gab zechinte. But in Hilchas Asmachte, there's a concept that if a person agrees that I'm going to give myself a knas, that you're going to get a certain amount of money if I don't do kach v'kach, the halacha is that it's Asmachte and there's no gebir as that. I mean, what? Because when I was masking, why was I masking? Because I thought it's never going to happen. Why do you think I was masking? I had no thought it's going to happen. And Meir, I was masking. If I would really believe it, I would never be masking. Chazal are machshiv such a thing, and they say that b'mokum that it's an asmachte. Again, don't pass an asmachte on your own because there's a lot of klum. But there is a musig of asmachte. If I give myself now this yid, he said like this: if some wacky quacky thing happens that they attack Iran and there's missiles flying all over the whole country, which is our oil is the loy, but it's it was Hakam now maybe became shchicha, but it's lo shchicha. This is that I was masking that I'm going to leave you the deposit unless the airport is open. Really, what's the teretz? Why was I masking? Because I have no tzad that's happening. If I would have a real tzad that's happening, I would never be masking. You tell me it's not a knas. I lost something. No, you're losing nothing because nobody would rent this apartment. It's a hakel a knas. You have no loss. And I have no gain. It's just a knas for backing out of an agreement for some wacky case. And this deity, that's called an asmacht. An asmacht is like handling. And the Meir, such an agreement, but atzem could be bottled. It's only one monkey wrench. There's a Ramah, and the Mechaber, and Simon Reish Zayin, Sif Yudalev, the Mechaber brings the sheet of the Rambam. The Rambam holds that even though Asmacht is loy kanya, that's only if he didn't give the knas up front. But if he gave the knas up front, then we don't say Asmacht loy kanya. The Ramah dingzich. So now here, this guy will say, Kimli, I hold like the Mechaber, the Mechaber, mitaval dan Sefard. He's Ashkenazi, but he'll say, I hold like the Mechaber. So by Choshen Mishpat, the Ashkenazim agreed that you could say Kimli like the Mechaber. So Memela Me'ik Hadin, the guy could say, I hold like the Mechaber. I got the money up front. We may ask him. But one can declare that over here there's another tziruf to the fact that the guy has the Ramah that says that it is asmachte. There's other things. What does it mean the airport's closed? What day does it have to be closed? Didn't say. Does it have to be closed today? Which day? The guy's ticket is a week before. So if the airport letter will be open, the airport was closed the day before, but on the day that he's supposed to leave, that his ticket is open, ticket's open. So he's supposed to figure out how to pack. I mean, what does it mean the airport's open? What happens if the airport could close any minute? So you realize when you go to Israel and you're paying $27,000 badira, you need a chef. I don't know if you knows. You need a chef to cook for you. The chef to cook you have to book from before, but you don't know if you're coming. So you could book. What's called closed and not closed? When you leave a shtar in such a way, it's very talking that everyone understood that if the reason why I'm back on is because I never know if this airport's going to be open, that's also on the clue. So there is mokum to say that a degree even stems with the lashon of the agreement. And Meir, when you have Saya Shalom Asmachta, inside this, it's again such a thing would need a pshara. People want to know why make a pshara that they don't know anything. The answer is not every guy does know. There's a lot of dayanim that know, but there's a lot of days. Kimlis, how many Kimlis do you let people say? So okay, such a thing would need a pshara, but I would think that there's a stark said that most of the money should go back to the soichel. I want to touch one more question because I don't have much more time. I have another few, but I'll touch one more question. And the shaila was, a yid ordered matzahs from a bakery that sells matzahs, but today, if you order matzahs, you could get a list, with like 2 pages of all the different idurim you want. When I was a kid, there was no such thing. You went to the bakery, mazel that they were showing Shabbos, the ones with all the things. I mean, today, can I know the idurim that you can have? So he only checked off 2 or 3 boxes, and his matzahs was supposed to be a certain price per pound. But kid said, this bakery is not local. He got it delivered like from an hour and a half away. They came to deliver him with the durim that he officially asked for, except that he got matzahs mu'udorim b'yoyse. And for states that they want for that, another, I don't know, $40 a pound. Ich sage, da nahe Pschatten lechem moini heinz. Mach die Ohren Pasha. Aber it's a loinzach, for a mitzvah, people spend money on the whole, every mishigas in the world. Ein mitzvah, wer a bisschen ungefahren. No, Baruch Hashem. Aber what, this yid ended up with these muhudige matzahs, but with a muhudige price. So he calls up the bakery, and he tells them, Mashuldiks, this is not what I ordered. I don't want to pay this price. So they said, no, you got to bring it back. Bring it back. You're an hour and a half away. I should come bring it back? I'm not bringing it back. So they said, okay. Fine, but what? Then you pay the higher price. I said, no, I'm not paying the higher price. I want my matzahs. I want the matzahs I ordered, and I'm not paying this price. So I don't know where the conversation went. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. But the guy who bought it called me and he said, so do I have a right to keep these matzahs? They're supposed to deliver me my matzahs. They're not willing. I'm taking these matzahs and I'm not willing to pay more price. Can I keep them? I said, no. He looked at me like I was fell off the wall. So, I mean, let's be honest. They told him they're going to give him matzahs that cost $40. They gave him matzahs that cost $80. He wants to take the matzahs for $8 or $40. It's a mekach. Fine. You have a right to make a mekach. You have a right to undo the sale. And you could say, I'm sure this, I'm not taking these matzahs. Do you have a chiyuv to bring it to them an hour and a half away? Obviously not. Because since the chayfetz came here by you brought the chayfetz to me, I have no chiyuv to go travel now an hour and a half to do a Shabbos Haveda. Because when Haveda falls into my rishus, because I found Shabbos Haveda, maybe I have a chiyuv with Troyach to go bring you the Haveda. But if you brought the Haveda to me, then you have to come pick it up yourself. If you want to come pick it up yourself, b'vakasha, I'm not mechuyev to bring it back to you. So now we have a stalemate. This guy says, I'm not giving you the matzahs for this price so far. Yeah? And he's saying, I'm not bringing it back. So what happens now? So I tell the moed, I would tell the koine, just keep quiet. Why? It'll come now Erev Pesach. What are these matzahs worth Erev Pesach? How much do you sell these matzahs now Erev Pesach? For sure not more than how much you paid for the other matzahs. There's no one to buy them. The most muhudige matzahs, when it comes Erev Pesach, they're not worth too much. There's no market for them. So all you have to do now is keep quiet. It'll come Erev Pesach. They didn't pick it up. Because it didn't loan for them to pick it up. They were just trying to get from him a few more dollars. It didn't loan for them to pick it up. It was too big of a bother. It's a small thing for their business, so they left it by you. So now, comes now Erev Pesach, it's not worth too much. So now, bakasha, you can take the matzahs. What do you mean? Well, how can I take the matzahs? There's someone else's matzahs. So the answer is, right now, are they oimid l'mechira? Yeah, the guy doesn't want them back. They oimid l'mechira. And what's the price? Not more than what you paid for the original matzahs. So Ibazoi calls man that is not makpid is a first halacha and shechono that anything that's oimed the mechira and you're not makpid, so I could go and take it, leave you the money, and take it. Even though you're not here, and even though it's shalom midaito, because it's oimed the mechira, the price is here, I took it. Shalom. What's the problem? No, if the guy's an action and he calls you up, I'm telling you, if you don't pay it, I'm not asking you should ever take it. You'll be stuck. But if you don't fight with him too much, just keep quiet, you'll end up with the Moed the Gematzis, and for his price, because everything will be good. Now I'll say, yeah, but he's a frumme. Ist doch da, sag, shit is, on the dog, dav zan adin shaloi, in Matzis. There's no das moiche to sell it to him. A gazdan is to design, because if it's over the mechira and you give him the money, fine. Oh, but there's no mechmekach or memke, it's not shaloi. So you'll have a problem that you're not mekayim mitzvahs matzah because it's not shaloi. Hat hamaise. So Meir, this yid says, it's not a good answer for me. Lani is daiti, it's shaloi. Hama klal in Shulchan Aruch was richt sich azoi. Nichel leinish le'ovid mitzvah b'mamoyna. Steht in Shulchan Aruch and Orach Chaim that if a yid comes into a shul and there's a talis, and he doesn't have a talis, and he doesn't move it away from the koimoy, he has a right to take the talis, and put it on, and make a bracha. Why does he make a bracha? Because it has to be shaloi. It says, Nichalei la'ovid, the English la'ovid mitzvah is better than Yir Shalom Midas. Yir Shalom Midas doesn't become Shaloi. But if you have a Nichalei la'inish, there's a das, Ki'ilu, when every person has a moment, and you only can do a mitzvah with it, it's Nichalei la'inish, the person should do money, mitzvah with it. And Meir, there's das Kinyan. Yeah, good, there's no Nichalei la'inish, he takes something away from the other. It's only when you borrow an item because the chayfet stays is. But that's in that case. Here's a hechatimtze for nichel le'inish, even if you take it because you're paying for it and I have nothing to do with it. So you have a hechatimtze for nichel le'inish that you could take namatzes. I'm a chaya. Yid will be mekayim a mitzvah with my money, and I lose nothing because I got the money that otherwise I'm gonna have to give him back his money. Imagine everything's stalemate. You owe him back the money, and your matzah sat in this guy's house and became stale. What'd you gain? Do it, and give me the money that you gave me, and I don't have to give it back to you. Becomes shaloi. He can eat the matzah, he's mekayim with him in the matzahs, and it's mamish considered shaloi. Now, I want to just, for the, I'm over time.
No, it's all.
I'm overtime. I'm machlev and I'm overtime. We're giving not a minute. I want to add what happens if the store, the moichlem are action. They tell him, Rabbi, listen here. We're not masking. Be what may. We're not giving you the matzahs. You have to. Wait, why? I don't want to teach him a lesson. Every moment for all but not give. Fine. So the yid says, no problem, but I would like you should bring me the other matzahs. So they say to him, well, halt nicht dabei. Halt nicht dabei. We'll not bring you. So the yid says, I think you're mechuyev. Why am I mechuyev? He says, I already paid you up front. So I did a psika. I made a psika with you by giving you money up front to bring me matzahs. And if that's true, and you have matzahs in your rishos, there's chalachiv on the pomoiche to provide that. And Meir, you are mechuyev to give me the matzahs. You say, good, I'm only mechuyev to give you the matzahs, but I'm not going to bring it, so come pick it up. No. In the psike was also a psike for schirus poilim, for you to bring the matzahs to my house. So So he says, good, I changed my mind, I'm backing out. So he says, yeah, but it's a dover of it. He says, yeah, okay, I'm asking, but even by dover of it. He said, yeah, I can tell you, you know what, Rabbi, do me a favor. Bring me the matzahs, I'll pay you for the delivery. I'll pay for the delivery. And then when he shows up, tell him. That's really important. Because that's the matzah. You can tell him you're going to pay him and you're not paying him. So you tell him, I'll give him, bring me the matzahs and I won't pay you. And I won't pay him afterwards. So if that's true, maybe he could keep these matzahs. Why does he go through this whole thing? They'll end up the same. It means, if he goes through this whole shtickle, he'll end up making them having to do the delivery on the other matzahs and paying all this money. Instead, I'll just keep these matzahs. Maybe if it's the same amount, it's the same price, he could do that out of the din of matzah. This is where I know chiddush. That maybe, why do I have to go through the whole matter? Because really you owe me this amount of money. You have to go and spend the money to go. So I won't spend the money. Instead I'll keep the matzah here. You don't have to come deliver. And I have all the money that you owe me that you should have, out the psika you should have done. And maybe I could keep the matzahs. As dreidel, the oilem could comment and things.
Could he charge him rent? Could he charge him rent?
Yeah, so now he wants to know if you can charge him rent for keeping the matzah. And that's really the next nidna I was supposed to speak about, but I didn't get to it. Maybe Mitzvah next year. I was supposed to speak about all the svarim in the bottom of the droshim that we have to clean up before Pesach. How do we deal with those things? I was going to talk about it. I was going to get myself into a lot of trouble, but the bunch of more eaten, I didn't have to talk about it. Just want to say, Amamish avot of. The Pesach says, Ushmartem es hamatzos. And Rashi says, Chazal dashen Ushmartem es hamitzvos. That what? A mitzvah abolu yod cha'al tach mitzenu. It always bothered me. Ushmartem es hamatzos is likuva. You don't have a matzah if you're not a shvat with a matzah. You're not mekayim mitzvahs matzah without mitzvah bol yot al tach mitzvah is a shayla hidur. It's a nice thing. But it's not in the chepto, the choyle, the mitzvah. So you dash from shvat with a matzah, shvat with a mitzvah, and the shvat is a nice thing. Vice toys that it's not true. That it's likuva. Why? And this is why I always tell you in Goliath, whenever your wife asks you to take out the garbage, or your mother asks you if you're a bocher, but that cloud men have an atiyah, they say in a few minutes. What's the pshat in saying I'm going to do it in a few minutes? Is the pshat a pashat lazy? Man of community, you're going to have to do it anyways. Pshat in now in 2 minutes. No. I'm going to tell you what goes on b'oimik ha-nefesh of a person when the guy asks him to take it out and he says a few minutes. It's like this. If I do it right now, it means you are the boss and I have to listen. If I say in a few minutes, it means when I'll be ready, I'll do it. That one's b'nich boss. When the Boishdom asks us to do a mitzvah, and the Yid says, I'll get around to it. What's a mitzvah? A mitzvah means you listen to Tzivui Hashem. You have a boss, and he's telling you what to do, and you're meshuchna, and you're an eved, and you're going to do it. So you say, I'll be ready. Not yet there, not yet. I'll get there eventually. You're not ready to do when and when. You're not that eved. That's missing in the chefts of the mitzvah. There's a nishtamazaitige Sache. Keeping a mitzvah with a zehiros and a zrizos means you're completely dovuk and bottled to the Rebunshtem as an eved. Ushmartem es ha-matzos, ushmartem es ha-mitzvos. You should be zoichet to do the Rotzen Hashem.
Shame English return, I'd like to give a big ashkar to Chaim Roth for the gewaltige share. Yeah, tomorrow Mr. Shem will be Rav Shmuel Felder, the next day will be Mr. Shem Rav Smith.
Lost.